Welcome to a hoo-ha exclusive video, aka meaning if you don't have a hoo-ha, this video probably isn't for you. And even if you have a hoo-ha, but you don't have a monthly cycle, then this isn't a video for you because this is all for the people that have a tendency of bleeding on a regular basis. And I would say that in a negative connotation, but I really shouldn't because I am going to rate period products from like my least favorite to my favorite. And my favorite one honestly doesn't make me hate my period anymore, which I don't think no matter what product you use, you should ever hate your period or feel uncomfortable in your own body because obviously it's a natural thing to do every month. But if you grew up how I did with no guidance on that, in any way, shape, or form, I stole tampons from my mom's closet in the bathroom, so I would avoid telling them because I just didn't want to have that conversation. And even when they found out, we didn't have that conversation. So I'm here to be your guidance a little bit, even if you are older, younger, whatever age you're at. I feel like having a conversation about period products is so important because a lot of times you end up getting stuck with that one product. For me, this was it. One product, I grew up on it, so I kept using it thinking, this is my option, this is what I'm gonna do. And I learned there's so many options out there, so whatever product you're using now, it might not be the best product for you. So we're gonna go over each of them, and there are different pros and cons, and like I said, I'm saving my favorite for the last because really, it has changed my perspective on periods in general and period products, and I don't have to feel like I'm on my period anymore. But either way, that blabbering aside, we are going to start with my least favorite, and this is my period drawer, excluding this product, which we'll go over soon. Excluding this one, which is a reusable product, this is my period little drawer for everybody. So if they come over and they need something, a period comes up, whatever it is, I got products. So this will be the good way of doing the video because I have a variety in here. But that will be pads and panty liners. This is my least favorite option, and I feel like this is the option that most women, especially when I grew up and before my time, it's like when you start off with periods, you started off with using pads or panty liners because that was the socially acceptable option to do, especially for younger girls, and it was supposed to be the easier option. And honestly, I think these products are only easier because in the beginning, they're simpler to teach someone how to use them. But I think if you get over that learning how to use the product phase, these are the most inconvenient, hardest products to use. So pads and panty liners, if you don't know already, are basically something that sticks to your underwear and absorbs blood. So it's almost like you're wearing a diaper. And I know diapers have a bad connotation, and honestly, I personally don't like pads, so I agree with that whole diaper concept. But I don't want you to feel like if this is the best option for you, I don't want you to feel like pads are gross or pads are like a diaper or anything like that. If it works for you, it makes sense. But I feel like for me and a lot of other women, especially as we get older, unless you're sleeping, and even if you are sleeping, they're sometimes uncomfortable, but if you're not sleeping, it's uncomfortable. It's a bulky thing inside of your underwear, and you're basically sitting in your own blood. And again, that's not a bad thing, but for a lot of women, it's uncomfortable. And honestly, this isn't very convenient. So unless I'm carrying a bigger purse, I don't want to be carrying around pads. So that's the main reason why I think that one is my least favorite option, but it is a great option for no learning curve involved in it because basically you're gonna peel it off and stick it on your underwear and you're done, you just wear it like you would wear normal underwear. So this is actually gonna be the first option that I do not have in the guest drawer. Mostly because one, this wouldn't be in the guest drawer either, and neither would this option, but also because I don't own them. So I can't personally give my full opinions on them. I can only give my opinions based on what the product claims that it does, and that is menstrual underwear. So unlike pads, where the pads are back there from when we just pulled them out, but either way, unlike pads, the underwear is something that is built into the underwear. It is able to absorb blood on its own, and similar to a pad, but I hear they are a lot more comfortable because they're not bulky. They're literally underwear. Like, damn, we've invented some crazy things and are able to do amazing things with technology. And I would say it's a better alternative to pads. And some of them claim they can hold up to an amount that a pad can, but every brand is a bit different and technology is always changing and improving. But I find it's a better option, simpler option. You're not changing them out, but at the same time, it's underwear. So you can't just throw them out and put another one on. You're gonna wash them and clean them, and you also have to have a place to put them. So a lot of times they're usually a backup option for another product where if you have a little bit coming out, it's still able to absorb it, or you wear them on very light days. So they're not usually a good alternative completely to period products, and also it's reusable, so you have to wash them and keep up with them, and also it's something you have to throw in the laundry, and I don't know, it's not very convenient. Now, the next thing out of my drawer that I would say is my next favorite is going to be tampons with pushers in them. Or I don't know if pushers is the right word, an insertion device. So it's not just the literal tampon that's going to be inside of your body. It has a device that helps you push it in. So basically you're going to push it in, and then the device, you go like this, and it pushes it into your canal. And so that way you don't have to be using your fingers and putting them inside of you. The device is going to go inside of you and do all of that work. Now, these have pros and cons for the fact of it being a tampon and the fact of it having a pusher. So I would say these are great for people that are younger or newer to having periods. So let's say you are newer or your kid is newer, whichever reason why you're watching this video. If it involves someone that is newer to periods and they want to transition over to doing tampons or starting with tampons, this will probably be a great solution. But tampons in general, in the general sense of things, what is the convenience on them? Would I recommend them to you? So I started off with tampons. Not ones with an insertion device, but tampons without one, which we'll talk about in a moment. But either way, tampons in general. So they have pros and cons to them too, but I still think they are one of the better options that are available, especially, again, new people. Now, one of the pros to them, according to the FDA, is that you can wear them for 4 to 8 hours, but no longer than 8 hours, because one of the cons is there are side effects of them. You can get toxic shock syndrome from tampons. Now, I don't know if it's every tampon. I'm not a medical doctor, but again, there is a side effect to it that is possible if especially if you're wearing them for longer periods of time. Now, the one thing that's nice about it is you can wear it for a while. They don't take up, in my opinion, as much space as like a bigger pad would. But other than that, I would say one of the cons, in my opinion, is yes, you can use the bathroom in it, but I don't know how the heckle doodle anybody's not getting pee on their tampon string, because the string is hanging outside of your body, so you can pull it to take the tampon out afterwards. So I would say is like, I get pee on the string, which is kind of like not the greatest thing in the whole entire world, because I'm not changing it every time I have to use the bathroom, because it sits higher up than where your urethra is that you pee out of. So you can still use the bathroom, which is a great advantage. But again, the disadvantage is I feel like you're almost always going to get a little bit of piddle on your string, which isn't the biggest deal in the whole entire world. And then you're also thinking about cleanup afterwards. The one thing I didn't mention with pads is, yes, you have to have a place to throw them out. And it's not always that simple. Usually, like, if you're in a public bathroom, they ideally have those like little trash thingies, but not always. And then if you're over someone else's house, they're kind of having it sticking out. And if you don't have the wrapper to put it back into, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't like having that out in the open. And then same thing with tampons. You're not supposed to be flushing them, though I'm not gonna lie, 99% of my childhood, I flushed those tampons. Horrible for plumbing. Horrible. But either way, I still did it. I don't recommend it. But either way, again, you're looking for a place to throw it out during your day, during what's going on, which means you're also gonna be pulling it out and potentially touching blood, which isn't a big deal, but it's sometimes inconvenient, again, because there's more involved to changing it than options we're gonna talk about later in the video. Now, as for the tampons without the pushers or insertion devices, whatever you wanna call them, so they look like this. This one's a lighter one. This is a more absorbency one. So these two look like this, and then on the bottom is the string. And no, you don't keep the plastic on it. So basically you pull off the plastic and then you insert it yourself without the device, and it's basically the exact same thing as the tampon with the device. It's loose. And I personally grew up on these, so maybe I have a soft spot for them, but I actually like them better because you know how easy this is to throw in your pocket? So in like college, in high school, I used to love this because I would only have to have this in my pocket. I wouldn't have to bring a bag with me to the bathroom. There's nothing wrong or embarrassing with doing that. But sometimes life is just a little bit easier if you can, just put this in your pocket and go. Now, before I talk about the pros and cons of the ones without the insertion device, other than the fact that the pro is obviously, they fit in a lot of easier places. They're just, and even then, fitting in a place and taking up less room. So 2 benefits there. But mini story time to do with these, so you avoid my embarrassment, is yes, they're easier to fit in your pocket, but they also could be easier to fall out of your pocket. And I remember it was high school, middle school, either way, I had one in my pocket, and then somehow it fell out of my pocket and rolled across the floor as all of us, I don't know if we were lining up for something or if we were all walking somewhere. I don't know if it was a fire drill, what it was, but either way, all of us were in the hallway, the whole entire class, not the whole entire grade, but the class I was in. We were all in the hallway and it fell out of my pocket, started rolling across the floor, but no one really knew who it came from. So all the guys are like, what's that? And then they're all like, whose is it? And then one guy finally, I'm not sure if he was mature for his age or had sisters or what it was, but he picked it up, and well, mature in a way, but he picked it up and he's like, it's a tampon. And I'm surprised he knew that without the insertion device on it either, but he's like, yeah, it's a tampon. And then he's like, whose tampon is it? And I'm just like, I did not claim that tampon. I definitely decided that that tampon was no longer mine. I was not admitting to it. And again, I'm hoping that children are a little bit better than they were when I was younger. But either way, I was like, nope, not claiming it. I was just like, my face was probably like so red because I'm so pale. But I was just like, it's not mine. Not mine. And I'm pretty sure there's parts of that story I forget, but I just remember it rolling across the floor, the guy pointing it out, some other guys laughing and making jokes about periods, and the girl is kind of just being like, not mine. But the con to them is you are going to insert them yourself, which is easier in my opinion once you get used to them, because then you don't have an extra product to throw away, trash, plastic, bad for the environment. These are also way cheaper to buy. Like, these tampons are by far cheaper for most brands. I don't know enough about what brand is good or what brand is bad, but either way, usually these are cheaper because they don't have the extra plastic, so not the extra cost for them to manufacture them. And so I find that easier. But for people that are newer, again, the comfort with the body thing, so I'd recommend newer people using the ones with the device to put it in, especially if you're just learning how to use it and getting comfortable with it. So that is, I guess I would say the con is they're not as good for new people, but overall I would still say they are a better device in my opinion. But if you want that little extra help and make things a little bit easier to put them in, then you might be one of those people that prefers the one with the device to put it in. The next option I do not have in my treasure trove because I don't wear them anymore and I didn't bother keeping it. One of my other options similar to that we'll talk about in a moment, I did keep the reusable device, but this specific reusable device, I didn't keep it because I don't ever plan on using it again. And that is a cup. So I'm going to insert a lovely picture on the screen so you know what I am talking about. And it's very similar to the one we're going to talk about in a moment. Again, we're getting into the reusable side of things, which I think is a great economical option because, again, we didn't talk about the cost for the other stuff because we all know period products cost money, but reusable devices, it's like an upfront cost and less cost every single month because period products add up. Like tampons, pads, cost so much money, and I think they are the least economically friendly option, least environmentally friendly option. So a great environmentally friendly, pocket friendly, so when you're getting to the point where you're buying your own period products, yeah, you want to save money where you can. So a cup is a great option for a reusable device. But again, pros and cons to everything. So if you didn't know already, a cup is similar to a disc, which I prefer. Hint, hint to what we're going to be talking about next. But either way, the cup, basically you're going to fold the device, insert it up, and then it's going to pop open, and it's basically just going to be a cup sitting inside of you, which is kind of a weird concept when you think about it. You're like, what do you mean there's a cup sitting inside of my hoo-ha that's going to catch everything? But it does. And I think it is a really good option because most of those you can wear for 12 hours. Which means you're not trying to change a product during your day. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to stand an extra step on it. You don't have to go to the bathroom, worry about bleeding in your pants, anything like that. For the most part, it's like you can kind of just leave it there all day and not think about it. And the more steps or times I have to think about my period, the more I'm reminded that I'm on my period and the more it feels like I'm on my period. And I just kind of dread it more. So if I can ignore it as much as humanly possible, then I'm not really as bothered by it. Also, because I don't get as many side effects, so I'm sorry for women that get cramps. But either way, that aside, menstrual cups are a great solution because you can keep them in all day. You don't have to worry about the inconvenience of changing them during the day. But the thing is, if you don't time things right, it's not really something that's easy to change in a public bathroom. Because unlike the other products where you take them out and you throw them away, this one you're not going to throw away. This one you are keeping for a long period of time. So again, economically and environmentally friendly, but you can't just throw it away in the bathroom when you're done with it for the day. So you have to time it out where ideally you are taking it out when you are home in your own safe, comfortable environment. So a lot of people end up taking them out in the shower because what you're going to do, like I said, unlike the other ones where you throw them out, you're going to be taking it out of your body and pouring it out. aka meaning you are going to be seeing your menstrual blood, and sometimes that's something that's not comfortable for a lot of people, not because there is anything wrong with periods or anything wrong with blood, but some people don't really like visually seeing it. So if you're one of those people that doesn't like visually seeing blood and being more obvious, because obviously everything else you're going to see the blood, but it's absorbed into something, whereas this you're going to see the literal blood loose. I don't know if that makes any sense. Sorry if I just grossed some people out, but either way, it's something that's not comfortable for everybody, and it's something that's not as easy to change in a public restroom, because if you're trying to pull it out and pour it out, it probably wouldn't be the easiest thing to do, I imagine. I've never tried it personally, but I can imagine that's not very convenient. So ideally, you're gonna wanna be able to take it out in the shower or at home in front of the sink, and then you can pull it out, you know, clean up anything that dribbles, all of that, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of dribble cleaning up, but it's easier if you do it in the shower. So that option is great because you can wear it for longer, you can keep reusing the product so you're not spending more money on it, and for a lot of people it's actually more comfortable once you get used to it. And there are some claims that it helps with cramping and other things. I don't know how much I believe of any of that stuff, but from my own personal experience, those were the benefits for it. Now I would say the negative side of things is if you are new to periods, or if you're talking to someone who is new to periods, I don't always think cups are the easiest option because I find they are a lot harder of a learning curve than tampons are. So you're gonna have to get used to putting it in your own body, and you are really all up in your hoo-ha, which nothing wrong with being all up in your hoo-ha, but if you're new at this, being all up in your hoo-ha isn't always the most comfortable thing in the world, because you are going to be literally, like, you're gonna have to learn how to fold the product and put it up, you're gonna have your hand inside of you, and you have to be more comfortable with that whole process. So I wouldn't per se recommend it for new people. Now I would recommend it for people if you've been using period products for a little while, especially tampons, so you're a little bit more comfortable with the process. I would say switch over to using a menstrual cup. Now, they're not as easy, I think, as the next option we're going to talk about, but they are more common for a lot of people, and some people say they are easier. I personally don't think they are, but other people claim that they are easier for them, and they do hold a good amount of blood. They're great for people that have heavier periods. So if you're one of those people that has a heavier period and has to always get like Super Plus tampons and all of that, this might be a better option because it holds so much blood. You can wear it for 12 hours. It's very comfortable. It's reusable. Some of them you have to take them out and clean it every single time. Some of them you're just taking it out, pouring it out, and cleaning at the end of your cycle. You have to read the directions and make sure you're following what you're supposed to be doing. And also you're putting a safer product inside of your body potentially, because a lot of these other products contain bleach and other chemicals that aren't very good for you to have inside of your body. So ideally cups are made with a safer product that you can keep putting inside of you and not affecting your pH levels or anything like that. And I think that's enough talk about cups, except for the fact the reason why I don't like them as much is because, I don't know, I feel like they're just not perfectly comfortable for me. They're a little bit bulky, and I found a better solution. So we only have one more thing in the drawer, and yes, I do keep this in the drawer for guests in case they already use them or want to give it a shot, because she is my favorite thing. And now they do a lot of branding and commercials and stuff like that to get over the hump of being a newer product, but they are not the original company that did this, at least in my opinion, because I've seen companies do this product before them, but they're the most known brand in my opinion, and that is a Flex disc. The company is called Flex, F-E-L-X, and they are a menstrual disc. And this one I will actually open up. This is what she looks like. And you might be wondering, what the heckle doodle is this supposed to do? How is it supposed to go inside of your body? How is it supposed to hold blood? So we'll go over the basics of a menstrual disc. But this is by far my favorite period product in the whole entire world. You can have intercourse in it if that's something you do. We're not going to talk too much about that. We don't want to lose monetization, but you can have intercourse in it. It is so convenient. I forget it's inside of my body. I forget I'm on my period. This is a godsend. And if you're religious, sorry I said God. Either way, menstrual discs. So first, let's go over how exactly the product works, and then I'll talk about the pros and cons of it, because there are pros and cons to it. Now, it does come in a throwaway version, which is my favorite, but we are going in order of least favorite to most favorite. So my next favorite one is a reusable version of this. So this isn't the same company, though Flex has come out with a reusable one. I haven't used theirs personally, but I've used another brand, which is just a random Amazon one, because originally I couldn't find many brands that did reusable ones, but the reusable discs are pretty similar, but they're a more durable material that's meant to be keep using, and you're able to boil it to clean it. Don't look at this one too closely. It was lightly cleaned. I kept it because maybe I'll use it again, and maybe Flex's is better, but I didn't think this one worked as well. I found I had more leaks with it than I did with the throwaway one. So I personally like the throwaway one better, but maybe I'll give Flex's a shot, because it is nice that you'd be able to keep using it and not spend money on it. But let me put my reusable bad boy away and think this is going to be very similar to using this one as in the functionality of the product. So the functionality of the product is similar to a cup. You are going to bend the product, but instead of the one where you kind of like bend it like in and different shapes, this one you are just going to bend like this. And then I'm actually going to play the little demonstration video that I found online, because I feel like it's the best visual example that is friendly for YouTube.
Begin inserting the pinch disc by pointing it downwards in a vertical position and sliding it into the vaginal canal as far as you can while continuing to pinch. I know this angle may seem weird at first, but check out the diagrams to reference hand position from the front and top view. Once the disc is about halfway in, reposition your hand and point your thumb towards yourself to help guide it in the rest of the way, until it sits at the base of your cervix. It should sit right behind your pubic bone.
Pinch the disc in half. Make sure that the catch is on the underside of the rim. Then you're gonna put the pinch disc inside, push it back and down towards your tailbone and as far as it can comfortably go. And you're gonna tuck it up behind the pubic bone, and that's when it's in.
And it is actually up against where you are bleeding, so you still have your whole entire canal open for the most part. There's just going to be this sticking out a bit, but not really. It kind of sits flat, but it does collect a great amount of blood. So I wear this for a long period of time, no problems. It holds plenty of blood. Now, that is how it generally works. Now, one thing that's different about this product, whether it's reusable or the throwaway kind, it's different than any of the other products. The cups, the pads, the tampons, it is all different because nothing is inside your canal, really. This is up against the wall, whereas the other products are literally in the canal, so you cannot have intercourse. Now, intercourse is not a word I'm normally using, but I want to be YouTube friendly, and if there is a younger audience watching this video, then this is more for adults. But as for adults, you are able to have relations with your partner and still have this product in. Now, I want to go over specifically the pros and cons of that first, and then the pros and cons of the product in general, especially for my younger audience where this doesn't matter as much. Now, as for the older audience that's having relations with their partners, the pros and cons cons of wearing that product while doing so is, yes, in my opinion, I do think it is less mess, but I don't think it's completely no mess like they advertise, like there's gonna be no blood, no nothing. I think that's completely false. And old me would have said that relations wasn't even an option with this product because I had a partner where it really didn't work. But I've now had a different partner where it has worked, and I have kept the products in. Like, I didn't need to take it out, nothing. It wasn't uncomfortable for them. It wasn't uncomfortable for me. I was able to wear it easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Except for the fact that I don't think it's completely mess free. I think it is less blood, less mess, but there are leaks, especially in certain positions, especially doing certain things, you are going to have some leaks. I don't think in your normal day-to-day you're gonna have leaks, but if you're putting more movement on the products, you're going to have little like seal breaks and some coming out. So I don't think it's completely mess free. I do think it is a better option. I do find it easier to wear it than to not wear it. I don't feel like I need to take it out, but it might not be the case for every partner. Because like I said, originally old me, I feel like I have an old period video too where I was like, no, you can't wear it during intercourse because that partner didn't work. So you kind of have trial and error. So I would say only wear it with someone you're very comfortable with, that you've been dating for longer, that's just, you can kind of go over that hurdle of figuring out if it works or it doesn't, and still set something down because you're still gonna make a bit of a mess in my opinion. Now, as for the younger crowd, or if maybe you're recommending this product to someone else, again, talking to people where intercourse is not a considerating factor, then I would say this product's pros and cons, because there's always cons to everything. Let's go over the cons first. So now, in my opinion, for this con is if you are new at this, or you're recommending this to someone that is new, again, same concept, is it's not exactly as user-friendly to learn how to use. I would not use this when I first started my period. Even though it is my favorite product and by far I love it, I think you need to be a little bit more comfortable in your own body and comfortable with the concept of having a period and all of that first, because that is enough of a hurdle. When you are younger, if you're younger now, or if you remember what it was like when you first had your period, it's a lot. It's a lot to get used to. It's a lot to be aware of. It's a hurdle to get over, in my opinion. I don't think it should be as much of a hurdle as it is. I think society needs to step it up a little bit and make it easier for women, because it's completely natural, and I think there should just be more resources out there. But that point aside, it's not exactly good for a new person, because I think it's just too much of a learning curve in the beginning when you're already going through so much. But if you've had a period for a little bit longer, then I would say this is by far my favorite product. I wouldn't recommend it more than anything else. Not specifically Flex, because there are other companies that do it. I used to use another brand, but now I can like never find their product online, so I don't buy it anymore, but I can't remember what it is. If I can find it, I'll put it on the screen. But either way, there are other brands that do it, but Flex is definitely the most popular now. And so, cons, I would say again, is the learning curve on it, learning how to put it into your own body, making sure it's in place, and then comfort for new people. I think it is a very comfortable product once you learn how to put it in place right and you get used to it and your body gets more comfortable with it, because in the beginning, I thought this was the most uncomfortable thing ever. I was like, this hurts, this doesn't really feel right, this doesn't feel good, like this is hard, this is no, I don't want this. And taking it out, what? Difficult, because also taking out the product is a little bit harder than taking out a cup, in my opinion, when you first are learning how. But afterwards, I just slip, grab, nothing. I'm even usually wearing like nails longer than these ones, and I have no trouble taking it out, but it is a learning curve. And I would recommend watching the videos online on learning how to use that product, taking it in, putting it out, taking it in, putting it out, putting it in, taking it out. I would definitely watch the videos online on that, because it has a learning curve on how to use the product, how to take it out, and the comfort level, because at first, in my opinion, it feels uncomfortable. But once your body gets used to it, you get used to putting it in, using it, having it inside of you, I think it is the most comfortable product ever. Because for me personally, I don't feel like I'm on my period when I'm using the product. I have it in right now, which sometimes I do forget about it, so don't forget about it. You do have to take it out, okay? You can't just leave it in forever. You can't do that. But either way, that aside, I find it is the most comfortable product to use. And also, You don't have to worry about it getting full or anything like this, because originally they didn't advertise the product where it would empty when you pee, but it was a side effect, or it was a thing that was happening for a lot of women. They're like, it keeps like the seal breaks when I'm using the bathroom and the blood pours out. And it was kind of like a bad thing, because it's like, you didn't tell me that this was gonna happen, but now they advertise it that way and they're like, it empties when you pee. Like, it's a great concept because it actually is a benefit. But they didn't advertise it that way, so people were kind of like, what, this happens? But now it's a benefit because you can wear it for longer and not worry about getting full, because it will empty when you pee. You don't have to do anything. Just like the pressure makes it like the seal break and the blood usually comes out. Not completely, but a good amount of it does. And that point aside, I do have one more negative con that I did just realize when I thought about that fact, is if you're having a very heavy period and you don't remember to empty it as much as you need to based on your flow, because they aren't ever filling. They're pretty full, but once they get to a certain point, the seal breaks easier. And I have had it where, not per se if you sneeze or anything, but I don't know, if you just put pressure a certain way with your own I don't know how to describe it, but either way, if it's extra full, it's easier to have an accidental leak. And it has happened to me only at home and usually when I have to pee. So if I had forgotten to empty it and I had to pee and it was very full, and I had a very heavy cycle at the moment, which isn't common for me, then sometimes accidentally the seal will break and blood will just gush out. Which, sorry if I just made you worried about that. It has only happened twice in the years that I have used it, and it was my own fault for not emptying the product. So if you're using the product as it's intended, I don't think you'll ever have a leak, especially a big one. I don't have spotting in my underwear either. I think the seal holds great. I think it's a great product, works great. But if you don't use it like advertised, like I said, you could have some negative things happen, like blood going everywhere and making a mess. But other than that, the pros of it, like I said, are I don't feel like I'm on my period. I feel like it's very comfortable. It's a much more economically friendly option in my opinion. I don't think it costs as much money. Now, some of them say you can only wear them for a day and you have to replace it. Some of the products say you can wear them for the whole entire week. You just take it out, clean it, put it back in, but you can only use it for that one period. So the maximum I've ever seen based on the brand is you can only wear it for one period and then you use a new one. But as for Flex, they say you are supposed to change them every single day. We're not going to admit whether I change them every day or not. Again, follow what the company says, not what I'm secretly telling you. But either way, other companies say you can wear them for the whole entire week. And in general, I still think it's a more affordable option because you can wear it for up to 12 hours, whereas the other ones are only up to 4 to 8 hours. So you're going to be changing it a lot more. It adds up. So overall, it is my favorite product. But you have to do what is right for your body and what works for you. So I recommend honestly trying them all. Now it sounds inconvenient and annoying, but I recommend trying them all, or if you're teaching someone how to use the product, then I'd recommend giving them all of the options, maybe slowly, not all at once because it could be overwhelming for them, but slowly introducing them to other concepts and letting them choose what's right for them, because anything that goes inside of your body, whatever it is, does not make you dirty, it's not inappropriate, it's not all these things, a lot of things like words I can't say on YouTube because I want to be, friendly for the audience, but all of them are acceptable options. There is nothing wrong with any period product choice you choose. I am telling you that now. I'm sorry if you live in a household or in a community that believes that products that go inside of you when you're younger is bad. They're not. Do what works for you and makes you feel comfortable. And like I said, even if you choose pads in the end, my least favorite option, maybe pads are the right option for you. They're not gross. I might feel gross in them. Other people might feel gross in them. But if you don't and it works for you, then use it. But if it doesn't, try other options. And even if it does work for you, try other options because, again, discs are by far my favorite. And I will always rave about them. And I do try to get people to switch over to them, but a lot of people find it's a little bit too hard of a transition for them. They don't end up giving it a shot. But if you decide to give this option a shot, give it some time. Maybe, only use it for part of your period and, slowly transition over to it. Do it slowly because it is like one of the biggest learning curves is the discs, even over the cups. These are more of a learning curve. They are more complicated of a product, but they are by far my favorite. So now that is a ton of blabbering, but I would really appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe button down below. I do new videos every single Wednesday helping you figure out adulting while I'm attempting to figure it out myself. And that includes things that maybe you've been doing for a while and you need to relearn, like periods. Or maybe you're just starting out and you need a little bit of girl talk advice on it. I am here for you every step along the way until you are an adult buying a house, and I'll come take you on tours around LA. Everything in between. I hope you have a great rest of your morning, evening, night, whatever it is for you. I'll see you next Wednesday.